Right now, I'm seeing the Arlos of the world sort of coming out in droves, like demanding a real, proper Nintendo Direct. Like, where's the Nintendo Direct, Nintendo? Where's the new information for games later this year? There's lots of really weird controlling. There's lots of really weird sort of anger and judgmental attitudes towards Nintendo right now. Like, the Pretendos are not happy that things are going down. Okay, the Pretendos are not happy at not having trailers to react to, not have things to freak out over, not having things to like be judgmental or bitch about or even talk about. They don't even have any real rumors, right? They have no idea what's coming, and it's making them nervous. And I do wonder if that's kind of the point, because it's getting really, really frustrating, even being tangentially associated with the Nintendo community. Seeing people like Arlo, like Game Explain, I don't know, make 40-minute long discussion trailer videos over fucking 10-minute long Nintendo Direct minis. Like, fucking really? Like, did you have to do that? Like, I do feel, as being someone who does, I don't know, I want to say I'm doing more things than doing Nintendo YouTubing right now. As someone like that, as someone who has like a real life and career, someone who is really, really dedicated to what I'm doing, trying different things, pushing myself, evolving, developing as a person, maybe, I don't know, maybe getting married someday. Like, as someone like that, as someone who's seriously like thinking about like long-term future prospects, right? As someone like that, I am just baffled, I think, baffled by this sort of obsessive, like, now mentality, because I literally own hundreds of games, right? Like, I literally have plenty of things I could play through again right now from the start and have a great 15 hours with, and I don't often have 15 hours to spare. You know what I mean? Like, I was just thinking that, like, oh, I could play Banjo-Kazooie today. Don't have time. Oh, well, I mean, I have time, but I have plenty of other games I want to get through. It's weird. It feels like these people are just so obsessed with the big new Nintendo game rather than actually enjoying what they already have, not only from Nintendo, from their video game consoles, from their Nintendo Switch, from their 3DS, from their Wii U, but from their lives in general. Like, why is Arlo just going around obsessively tweeting random tidbits about Nintendo? Why are there people just, obsessively keeping track of, like, when a game was announced in a Direct, how long it's been since we've last heard of it, what could possibly be going on, in development? It's just, it's pointless to me. It really is. And I do think it's leading to this sort of weird, antagonistic, again, Pretendo-ish mindset of, like, Nintendo is not giving us what we want. So I'm seeing, like, more and more outrage and more anger, and it's completely misplaced. It's completely ridiculous. It makes no sense. I don't respect it, and I don't think either should you. I'm someone, again, I've been very critical of a lot of these people. I don't like how these people handled Wii U coverage, Nintendo coverage in general, on Nintendo leaks, things like that. I personally feel as if I don't know what to make of this community. It's obsessive. I think these people need to find more interest. I think they need to do more things. I think they need to enjoy their lives, honestly. There are, like, extreme cases, I think, the BitBlock, but I think they all have, like, varying shades of this. I remember a YouTuber, Player Essence, like, a couple of years ago, talking about, like, how he didn't want a real job because he wanted YouTube to basically be his career, and I just that's just ridiculous to me. It really is. Like YouTube, like you really think you're going to be able to talk about video games for the next 40 years? Like really? I don't think so. I think a lot of these YouTubers are going to be very surprised come retirement. Actually, we'll have to see if they're handling their finances well. Maybe I don't think a lot of them are, but we'll have to see. Spoonie definitely isn't. Like, remember when we thought Spoonie was doing really well for himself, and now look where he is, about to lose his house. I mean, how many more of these YouTubers like that are there out there? It's just probably more than you think, honestly. All those game collections, maybe these fuckers have just gone into debt over that. I don't know. I don't know for sure. I can't say for sure. I can't say who's in debt or why or how, but I mean, Boogie 2988 situation is way different than Spoonie's, but it's going to result in the same thing, complete financial ruin. Complete financial ruin and just becoming a laughingstock of the internet. I think that's kind of the end result of a lot of these people. Their audience isn't going to stick around unless you're making your a career out of covering these games. You're not going to want to stay there forever, and eventually I think people like Spoonie, Pro Jared, these people, they're going to get bored of what they're covering. Like, they're not going to find new favorite games. Like, so many of these people exist by talking about their favorite games for like 5-10 years ago, and then nothing quite matches up to what they played and loved back then. If I built a YouTube career, in 2006 around Kingdom Hearts, like being a Kingdom Hearts fan, importing like Japanese Final Mix 2, going through all the content, being the first person to do that, doing all this stuff, and I had to like cover, all the plot points, all the side games, everything that came up, covered every Kingdom Hearts 3 rumor, talked about like everything Nomura's working on. Like, it would like completely destroy me, because you're not doing this because you enjoy it anymore. You're doing it because it's a job. You're doing it because it's something you have to do in order to pay bills. That's the mindset, I think, that a lot of the older crowd, the 35-year-old plus crowd is in right now. I think even James Rolfe is getting hit by this to a certain extent, because he has a family and a wife, and I think that's more important than him than this nerd shit. And I completely, totally understand that. In fact, I respect it. If anything, I kind of think James should retire, or at least not make videos as frequently. I personally just. I think there's a lot to be said about how well James Rolfe has sort of adapted being any celebrity compared to everyone else. Like, people have noticed this, people have talking about this, but I think at the core of it, like more than anything else, is that like James is a normal person, like outside of the nerd persona. Like, that's not the case with Spoonie. That's not the case with Pro Jared. That's not the case with Boogie 2988. It's not the case with Nostalgia Critic. It's not the case with. Oh, I'm just naming off. This turned into a YouTuber rant, but this isn't a career. YouTube is not a career. It's not something you can retire on. It's not something that'll be profitable for a good chunk of your life. It's honestly not even profitable now. Like, people are surprised at demonetization, that they're not making money off their videos, but really, you shouldn't have been making money off of YouTube to begin with. Like, you should have just gotten a real job, worked night and day to like get some kind of skill. I don't know, like done something. I think these Nintendo YouTubers, they're reaching the point now. I think Nintendo has sort of released a release schedule where they can sort of announce a game, reveal like a scant amount of information about it, and then release it within a couple of months. I think that's the main reason why we're not hearing about games a long while in advance anymore, because Nintendo wants to wait until they're about to come out before talking about them, especially with new consoles coming out. I think that's what's happening. I think that's what's going on. Nintendo just wants to prevent people from creating conspiracy theories about their newest games, right? Like, how long, right? Star Fox Zero, right? Like, the gaming journalists, and the YouTubers, they tried really, really hard to ruin that game from day one. They tried saying the controls don't work, that it wasn't fun to play, that it wasn't very good. It was spectacular. They tried it with Kid Icarus, with Codename Steam, with Ever Oasis, like all these smaller niche Nintendo games. Now, if Nintendo can just announce these games out of the blue in a YouTube announcement trailer, people will still watch it. People will still get excited for it, and the game journalists are going to have a hard time. The game journalists and the YouTubers are going to have a hard time creating a narrative about it. We sort of saw this already with Origami King, where people were desperately trying to turn this into another Color Splash, and it turned out really, really well for Nintendo. Origami King, is worse than Color Splash in a lot of respects, but people still really, really liked it, and might actually give Color Splash another chance when it gets re-released on Switch, which honestly is perfectly possible. Maybe next year, maybe 2 years from now, we'll see. I feel like gaming journalism is at an end. I think in between Xbox Game Pass, in between digital distribution of news, in between independent media like myself, gaming journalists are going to have an increasingly hard time controlling the narrative when it comes to video games. I don't think anyone is excited for Halo Infinite, even though Jeff Keighley had all these people come out there try to hype people up on the idea of, I don't know, what they were doing and stuff like that. The internet was collectively unimpressed with Halo Infinite for good reason, because it's not a very good game. I hope that in the next 5-10 years, as I become more and more successful, as I become more and more well-known in literary circles, as I really try and build my brand and really try to become successful, I hope I can continue to openly talk about corruption in the video game industry. This is something that's very, very important to me, because I grew up seeing so many people rail on my favorite video games, right? The GameCube, the Wii, the Wii U, right? The N64 to an extent. People sort of created these weird narratives and untrue statements about some of my favorite things, and it was deplorable. It was despicable. I hated it, and as a result, I think these people need to be held responsible for what they've done. They need to be condemned. That we need to openly talk about the best games in the industry, the Nintendo games, and enjoy them for years to come. And I can already tell you, nobody's going to be playing Knack in 5 years. Nobody's going to be playing Horizon Zero Dawn in 5 years. Nobody's going to be talking about, I don't know, whatever PlayStation exclusive came out. The Last of Us, Days Gone, Ghost of Tsushima. They'll be replaced with some new, shiny thing. Whereas I will still be playing Super Mario 64. I'll still be playing Ocarina of Time. I'll still be playing, Wind Waker, Metroid Prime, Little King Story, Pikmin. The list goes on and on. An endless barrage of great Nintendo games that I will love and appreciate until the day I die and beyond. And nothing, no YouTuber, no game critic can take that from me. No matter what they complain about, no matter what they cry about, no matter how they try to damage control it, that is not acceptable behavior. So, how does this relate to the Nintendo Direct thing? Well, I don't necessarily need new games all the time. I'm happy with what I have now, and I'm very excited about what Nintendo is going to show when they're ready. Until then, I will see you all next time.